Hi, Shane Bangle from the Manna Group, and today me and Drew are going to talk a little bit about cash-on-cash return and cap rate. These are just mathematical equations that help investors decide whether an investment's a good purchase or not. And there's obviously a lot of factors, but these are some equations that people use. So maybe tell us a little bit about cash-on-cash return.
So your cash-on-cash return is your net operating income minus your debt service divided by your down payment.
So cap rate is, so generally people use cash on cash when they're taking a loan, and cap rate when they're going to buy a property outright. So cap rate's a really easy calculation. It says, what is my net operating income divided by my purchase price? So these are two metrics commonly used, and people will say, oh, this property has a cap rate of 6%. This has a cap rate of 8, 10, 12. I would say as a general rule of thumb, in cash on cash return, most people won't invest in a property without a 10% cash on cash return. That's kind of like a threshold for a lot of investors, not everybody, but many of them. Cap rates, I've heard a lot of different talk. I would say in general, if you're getting 7% cap rate, you're doing very well. Some cap rate gets much more complicated. It's very market specific. So a cap rate in California of like 4 or 5 is really good because those properties are going to appreciate a lot more. A cap rate of 4 or 5 in Spokane is not as necessarily as attractive. So it depends on what you're trying to do with that investment. I would say most investors are looking to leverage, so they're going to use cash on cash return. They're going to say, okay, what is my down payment, my cash into it? So if I gave a quick example, I'd say, let's say there's a property that was $100,000, okay, to purchase it. So if somebody's going to buy it outright, $100K, they buy it outright. If they're going to use financing, they're going to need $20,000 down, and they're going to finance the $80,000 the rest. So they're into it for different amounts. One substantially more, $100,000. One substantially less, just $20,000. If we do the formulas and calculate them out, we take into account net operating income, we take into account debt servicing, well, not debt servicing on cap rate, but we take in management fees, taxes, insurance, utilities, things that you'd have to pay on this property. You'll see on, let's just say that the rents were $14,000 a year. You're gonna have about a 9% cap rate on that, meaning you make on that $100,000 in the first year, you're gonna make about $9,000. So you see how that relates. $100,000, 9% cap rate, you make $9 grand. On cash return, you have to take into account the debt servicing. So if we said the interest rate was around 6, the math works out there that your cap rate's gonna be about 3.5-ish, give or take a little bit. And that means every year your cash on cash return is about $3,500. So you can see buying it outright, you're gonna make more every year. The problem is that you invested $100,000, and I'd say most investors are looking and saying, hey, let's take my $20,000 and buy 5 properties at the $100,000, and now my cash on cash return is 5 times $3,500, which is more than the $9,000. You know, you're into almost $17,000, and that's where leverage gets very important as an investor to say, okay, I will take out a loan and pay for debt servicing, right? I'll pay the interest rate, and I'll be able to make more in the long run. Overall, I would say we're huge fans of investing in real estate. You know, on the very top level, you know, they say real estate will perform at 4% annually year over year. So yeah, you may say, okay, I bought this $100,000 property, the next year it's worth $104,000, and so on and so on. That maybe doesn't outperform stocks where you say you make 8 to 12%. The difference is,
if you get into lending and you start getting some loans and you're able to borrow money,
yes,
then you're making it grow.
Right. And that, well, where that calculation really falls flat and why we're such big fans of real estate investing is that's not taking into any account that there's rent income. So you start to bring the rental income, it really takes those returns on your investment, your cap rate, your cash on cash. It allows you to live a life maybe that you have some income stream from different areas. People like to call it mailbox money. You do have to work for it. It's not easy being a landlord. But if you have questions on these things, we'd love to answer those questions and help you out.